gun trial. The president's son faces 3 charges related to accusations that he lied on a form about his drug use while purchasing the gun. Hunter has pleaded not guilty. If found guilty, he would be the first son of a sitting president convicted in federal court. His punishment will be solely up to the judge. Former President Donald Trump met with his probation officer virtually Monday following his New York conviction last month for falsifying business records. The presumptive Republican nominee for president sat alongside of his attorney, Todd Blanche. Probation interviews are required by court as part of a pre-sentencing report. Sentencing in the trial is set for July 11th. Trump continues to deny wrongdoing. The United Nations Security Council approves a ceasefire plan aimed at ending the 8-month war between Israel and Hamas. The U.S. says Israel has accepted the proposal, which includes a 3-phase plan to ending conflict in the Middle East, before heading on a trip to Egypt to agree to the deal.
The only party that has not accepted, the only party that's not said yes, is Hamas. That's who everyone's waiting on.
Those are your headlines. Now, here's your weather on the ones.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. To start off our Tuesday, it's going to be fairly mild in the northern tier, the eastern half of the country, at least up north. Then we'll have some warmer temperatures down south, and then warm as well to start off in the southwest. This is where we're going to get the hot temperatures. Triple digits once again for Las Vegas. We've got 80s in the Dakotas, 80s and 90s to the south. And here in Florida, it's going to feel like it's going to be in the mid to upper 90s because of this tropical moisture that's going to be triggering some storms that could cause some flash and urban flooding.
Hunter Biden's fate now lies in the hands of Sharon Tazewell. Deliberations are underway in Hunter's federal gun case after both sides finished closing arguments Monday. The jury deliberated for about an hour before court ended and will resume Tuesday morning. It is the first time a sitting president's son is on trial for criminal charges. The jury will decide whether Hunter is guilty of 3 charges related to his purchase of a gun in 2018. Spectrum's Taylor Popolars has been keeping a close eye on the case and joins us with a look at what's at stake.
This case marks the first time a sitting president's child is on trial, and Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison if convicted. The jury heard testimony from 13 witnesses, but not from Hunter himself. The president's son faces 3 federal charges that accuse him of lying to a federally licensed gun dealer, falsely claiming on the application when buying a gun that he was not a drug user. A full slate of Biden family members was in the courtroom Monday, including First Lady Jill Biden. The prosecution argued in its closing that the evidence showed Hunter was using illegal drugs when he bought and owned the gun in October 2018, and that he knew it was illegal. Hunter's legal team closed by saying no evidence or testimony presented confirmed illegal drug use during the specific window of time in question. They also reiterated their claim that Hunter knew at the time of his gun purchase he was addicted to alcohol, but not cocaine. While the First Lady has been to 5 of the 6 days of this trial, President Joe Biden has not made an appearance. He did tell ABC News while in France last week that he would respect the outcome of the trial and not pardon his son if he is found guilty.
Spectrum's Taylor Popolars joins us now from Washington. Taylor, we're also following new developments in Donald Trump's hush money case. What can you tell us about a parole hearing Monday?
Usual because Donald Trump is a former president, he had to meet with a parole officer in New York, but rather than meeting with them in person as is standard, he ended up being able to meet with them virtually alongside his attorney Todd Blanche, and Trump was at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. But essentially this is a hearing where the parole officer checks in with the defendant, asks them a few questions. The defendant has a chance to talk about why they think their sentence should be lighter if they're disagreeing with it, and essentially that report will be sent forward to the judge ahead of the sentencing, which is going to take place in mid-July. So another unprecedented step in the mix for the former president.
Yeah, definitely is. Taylor Popolars in Washington. Thanks. The United Nations Security Council Monday approved its first resolution endorsing a ceasefire plan in Gaza. The proposal urges Israel and Hamas to fully implement its terms without delay. Spectrum's council
is meeting with leaders in Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Qatar, hoping to broker a ceasefire to end the fighting in Gaza. The broad outlines of the U.S.-backed plan called for a temporary pause in fighting and the release of some hostages. followed by the release of all hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and a plan to rebuild Gaza. But so far, Hamas has not responded to the proposed deal.
That's who the Palestinians in Gaza are waiting on. It's who the Israelis are waiting on. It's who the hostages and the hostage families are waiting on. It's who the entire region and the entire world is waiting on. And so we'll see. Does Hamas want to end this conflict, end this war that it started?
Blinken says the plan has Israeli support, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has expressed doubts about it, and far-right allies have threatened to collapse his government if he accepts it. Blinken says Israel is still steady in
Clear. Israel has accepted the proposal. In fact, they were critical in putting it forward.
Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz resigned from Netanyahu's emergency government Sunday, following through with an ultimatum to quit if Netanyahu didn't come up with a clear plan for Gaza and for freeing the hostages. Gantz was seen as the most moderate member of the War Cabinet. On Monday, the United Nations Security Council approved a resolution endorsing a ceasefire plan aimed at ending the 8-month war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, urging both Israel and Hamas to fully implement its terms without delay and without condition. The vote was 14-0, with Russia abstaining. In Washington, Cassie Simeon, Spectrum News.
Israeli police Monday released new pre-edited video that appears to show the moments male hostages were rescued in Gaza. Hence, a total of 4 hostages were rescued. U.S. officials are warning Venezuela's most notorious gang is now established in the United States. Authorities believe the group is running a multi-state human trafficking ring and dealing drugs. Spectrum's Ariel Wessler explains the warning comes just days after a Venezuelan migrant was arrested for shooting 2 NYPD officers.
U.S. law enforcement, including border officials and the FBI, warn a notorious Venezuelan gang has made its way into the United States. Authorities in South America say the gang known as Tren de Aragua has victimized thousands in the region through extortion, drug and human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. An NYPD source told CNN 19-year-old Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, who is charged with attempted murder, has tattoos associated with that gang. Investigators say he shot 2 NYPD officers last week after their direction. If convicted, Mata faces 80 years to life in prison.
They were able to stop that individual from hurting anyone else.
The chief of U.S. Border Patrol has confirmed multiple arrests of alleged Tren de Aragua members in the last year and issued a warning in early April. New asylum restrictions took effect last week following an executive order from President Biden. It suspends asylum to migrants crossing the border illegally when a daily threshold of at least 2,500 encounters is met. Migrants can still request an asylum by appointment.
President Biden has had to take matters into his own hands by issuing executive actions that will improve the situation at the border because Congress failed to act, and Congress failed to act again, not because of Democrats, but because of MAGA Republicans.
But Republicans have pushed for even tougher action at the border, criticizing the president's plan as simply playing law enforcement agencies are aware of the gang. A former Venezuelan police officer says the big challenge here, the U.S. government has no way of knowing if a Venezuelan immigrant asking for asylum at the southern border is actually a criminal because Venezuela as a policy doesn't share intel with the United States. Ariel Wessler, Spectrum News.
Just ahead on Spectrum News, shark attacks prompting new warnings and beach closures in parts of Florida. Experts say you can stay safe in the water this summer.
Spectrum News Plus, news from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability of our products and services. Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum, keeping you connected.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all what I felt accomplished. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Robert Santos, you can see on Monday where the threat for severe weather was slight. Here you can see in the Dakotas, basically the plains all the way out, even parts of Georgia and South Carolina. Now for Tuesday, we see a slight chance for that severe weather as well. You can see there in the areas in yellow there in Texas. But we're going to be tracking some storms in Florida. Now, we've got some tropical moisture moving across the area. It's going to be sweeping across the region here for Tuesday into Tuesday afternoon. You can see, especially around southern Florida. And you go into the evening hours, we'll continue to see those storms. Some of these storms could produce some flash and urban flooding. That's something we're going to be watching all the way at least through midweek. Now, the bigger picture is showing that a majority of the lower 48 will be dry. And we are also going to be tracking some storms up here. So right around the Midwest into the Great Lakes, that's why we see a slight chance for some severe weather here for our Wednesday, for you Tuesday, and then drier. You see there on Thursday with those temperatures staying in the 80s and above average. 80s as well for you in Orlando, but you could see all 3 days because of that tropical moisture I mentioned swirling around there. You've got thunderstorms in the mix. For Syracuse, New York, drier weather for you, but notice the warming trend. A little warmer Tuesday, Wednesday rather, and then even warmer with some mid-80s coming your way for Thursday. And in Cincinnati, Ohio, also a warm up coming. By the time we get to Thursday, you'll be in the upper 80s, but you have some drier weather, so a lot of sunshine there. Now look at the precipitation outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for basically mid-June. So we're going into next week now, and you can see all these areas in green is where we're expecting some wetter than average precipitation, a better chance and confidence you could see up here in the Great Lakes, but also down south across Texas.
Terrifying shark attacks over the weekend in Florida have people on edge. The incidents on 2 different beaches in the Panhandle happened just an hour and a half apart. Many shark experts say such attacks on humans are rare. Spectrum News anchor Carla Reddit on the encounters and how you can stay safe.
What? They need to get out. Terrifying moments in the waters off the Florida Panhandle. 2 separate shark attacks in Walton County Friday. The first victim, a 45-year-old woman near a sandbar with her husband.
She received significant trauma to the midsection and pelvic area, as well as amputation of her left lower arm.
About 90 minutes later and 4 miles away, 2 teenagers were attacked, also near a sandbar.
Victim 1 received significant injuries to one.
Time of year is when sharks will move in shallower to feed. They're looking for prey along the beaches.
Damiana Humphrey was in shallow water in May off Galveston, Texas, when a shark bit her hand.
It was my body's reaction to it that probably saved me.
That reaction was to punch the shark in the face.
The face was the only thing that came up out of the water.
It let her go. Surgeons repaired several torn tendons in her hand, and her recovery continues. Most shark experts point out time of day matters.
Don't go in the water at dusk or dawn because sharks are crepuscular hunters.
And that's when we went during dusk.
Don't go in the water with jewelry. Don't go in the water with plastic water bottles because that crunching sounds like fish bones. Stay away from river mouths or murky areas.
Bottom line, attacks are rare, but always remain cautious. Carla Reddit, Spectrum News.
June is National Cancer Survivor. 611,000 will die from the disease in 2024. That's according to the National Cancer Institute. In Southern California, there's a group that's been helping cancer patients for decades. Spectrum's Joe Kwan reports on how they're tackling a stigma that can make some people in the immigrant community hesitant to seek help.
This is a place where cancer patients can get help with basic needs and other things. I'm Joe Kwan here at the Vietnamese American Cancer Foundation that's also been helping to tackle a stigma within the Vietnamese community about a cancer diagnosis.
Okay, welcome.
Every week, this is how Tung Ta is welcomed. He comes to the food pantry here in Fountain Valley at the Vietnamese American Cancer Foundation, the VACF, which also stands for Vital Access Care Foundation. Wednesdays are designated for people like Tung.
I came here cancer.
Tung was nervous and scared, but he found help here, not only for food and other services, but also emotional support.
All the staff were friendly to me and welcome my be a guest.
Director of Programs Yum Hua says these brochures help to provide bilingual educational materials about cancer. She says what can be most challenging for their organization is to get cancer patients in the Vietnamese immigrant community to come through its doors.
Unfortunately, there's still the stigma around cancer in the community. You know, it associated with shame, and also there are talk about you are getting cancer because of the karma, because of you did something bad in your past.
She says some even avoid telling those closest to them.
They don't want to become a burden for the family and try to keep it for themselves as well.
According to the National Library of Medicine, Asian Americans are cancer is the leading cause of death in men and women, unlike heart disease for all other groups. Early last year, Peter Nguyen found out he had stage 2 lung cancer. He turned to the VACF to learn more about his diagnosis.
The doctor gave me the information, but not enough. That's why I need the help.
Peter is now in remission and volunteers at the foundation. He also advocates within the community to get people to talk about cancer.
You're not the only one cancer. A lot of people cancer, and we share each other. Don't keep it secret.
That's why Tung is willing to share his story.
Let the patient know they have the support from the outside, and somebody or many people will care about them.
And with a community to lean on, Tung continues his fight. Joe Kwan, Spectrum News.
A first glimpse of a new Disney World ride settlers can expect to see on this new Bayou Adventure.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
There's a slight risk of some severe storms through parts of Texas. Hi there, meteorologist Robert Santos will also be tracking some storms moving across southern Florida where flash and urban flooding is possible, and then increasing heat across the west once again. So you can see we've got some alerts all related to heat all across the west, especially the southwest. You can see here some excessive heat warnings, and we're also triple digits there after last week also experiencing a heat wave there and through central California and then out in the deserts, including Las Vegas. Now, over here in Texas, where it's already been warmer than average for many, many days, you could see temperatures in the 90s. For instance, in Austin and in Houston, will feel more like the upper 90s and feeling more like triple digits in San Antonio. Also pretty warm and muggy through New Orleans. And down in Florida, temperatures will be in the 80s. Storms will be sweeping across the region. You factor in the humidity, and it'll feel more like the upper 80s, let's say in Orlando or around Miami, mid-90s, where a lot of those storms will be coming through. Now, the southwest is where we're experiencing the warmer than average temperatures. It's been that case for the last several days, all the way up into the Dakotas, you could see there, and then cooler than average right around the midsection of the country here, where we'll have 70s and 80s, but Phoenix, Las Vegas, triple digits once again, and 80s there for Florida. So a ridge of high pressure backing down at least for parts of the southwest. I'd say in California, right around the coast there, we got an area of low pressure, so that's going to keep temperatures and that thicker marine layer in place. And then that's going to start to make its move, bringing some drizzle possible as you go into the latter part of the week there for Southern California. And then a ridge of high pressure starting to build for Father's Day weekend. Let's talk about the U.S. Open, championship there for the Tuesday forecast. Low 80s there for the practice rounds, but once we get into the championship rounds, you can see how temperatures will start to warm up into the 90s all the way through Father's Day weekend. So it's going to be a warm one there. In New York, yes, you've got a warming trend. The warmest day will be Friday, right around the upper 80s, and mid 70s is your average for this time of year. Dallas, Texas, 91's the average. We'll be hovering there, let's say, very close to it Thursday.
UConn men's basketball coach Dan Hurley is staying in college. The Huskies boss has turned down an offer from the Los Angeles Lakers worth reported $70 million. It would have made Hurley one of the top 6 highest paid coaches in the NBA. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont is promising that the state will, quote, make sure he's the top paid college coach. Hurley has led UConn to back-to-back national championships, the first school to do it since Florida in 06-07. Scary moments for fans at a rodeo event over the weekend in Oregon. A bull hopped the fence and took off from the sold-out arena. Take a look at the bull making a run for it. There it goes. It charged through a concession. Cattle wranglers eventually caught it inside the livestock pens. Walt Disney World guests will soon be able to head on down the bayou as a new attraction at Magic Kingdom is set to open later this month. Well, the ride is based off the animated movie The Princess and the Frog, which features Disney's first black princess. But as Spectrum's Randy Roush explains, the upcoming attraction comes with some controversy.
The new attraction picks up right at the end of the Princess and the Frog film released in 2009. You'll discover in the queue that Tiana expanded her business with a focus on foods transformed from a salt mine into a farm and kitchen. Disney Imagineers have been busy converting what was once Splash Mountain into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It's all about the flavor of New Orleans.
It's the ability to really feel like you are in the middle of the magic of what is New Orleans.
All of them to play at the party.
Disney did extensive research in New Orleans to help capture the soul of Louisiana, including the iconic music scene. They also reached out to artists from New Orleans to help create the colors of the South.
Their inspiration and ideas incorporated with my vision, we got a whole thing.
Splash Mountain, built in 1992, closed last year, but the new ride features the same thrills and track.
Because it keeps the fun of what was Splash Mountain to those super fans, or even just that enjoyed it mildly, right? You still have that. You still have that 50-foot drop and the fun that comes with that. But from the moment you get on the ride to the drop, it's brand new.
Speaking of that famous 50-foot drop, it's still the same. Yes, it's still a thrill, and you will get soaked. Perfect on any hot day. on the town at the Magic Kingdom.
As well, thanks for watching. Our Spectrum News at 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation. I have a group of astronauts on my hands.
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.